Fire and looting at Port Moresby's Tabari place. Community Development Minister weighs in on Cancer Centre woes. And Provincial Governor wants action against Chinese illegals.
This is National MTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Friday's news. The famous BRONCOS shopping centre lost part of its buildings today as an uncontrollable fire gutted 4 shops. The fire is the latest in Port Moresby, with nearly $500,000 in value estimated to have been lost in a space of 48 hours. Jack Lapava Jr. with this report.
According to BRONCOS fire station officers, the fire started late yesterday afternoon at a fast food outlet. Firemen were able to control the fire from spreading, but a second fire started this morning. Almost 10 business houses have been affected.
Four buildings done, but almost 80 businesses affected. They're gone. All employees losing work, all staff, all businesses, all people are losing planting something.
The BRONCOS fire station a block away responded positively but could not control the blaze as the fire spread to other buildings. Johnson's pharmacy went down in minutes as the public watched. BRONCOS Station Commander Superintendent Leo Ovia said low water pressure within the area didn't help.
People struggle along water pressure, although hydrants only stop close to, but the pressure was low, so people struggle along water pressure.
As the blaze continued to other business houses, the public took advantage in looting the shops. Security guards were left helpless as the looting mob outnumbered them. After almost an hour, police arrived at the scene to disperse looters.
Things happen like this. Police supposed to patrol 24 hours and monitoring this property alone. And police is up close to here.
Other business houses within the area were closed. The fire service is still establishing the cause of the fire with investigations to begin soon. Jack Lapava Jr. National MTV News.
Minister for Community Development says the problems facing the PNG Cancer Facility in Lae is a concern for the national government. She says the number of people dying from cancer in the country is increasing and actions need to be taken. But Minister GORE stopped short of detailing government plans to address the problem.
Minister DELILAH GORE believes the PNG government has a plan in place to address the cancer problem at the PNG Cancer Centre in Lae, but it needs to be addressed as more women continue to die from cancer.
It's a need. We need the cancer scanning machine, and I'm sure government is addressing that, and will be addressing that soon, and that should help solve many of our this problem that's the cancer that's killing a lot of women in this country.
DELILAH GORE is one of 3 women in this parliament. Their terms end in July. Another women MP, Luzia Koza, has been outspoken on the state of the cancer unit and its inability to hand the treatment and care of women who come to the unit for help.
The terrible injustice has been done to our people.
For the past 3 months, there has been a public outcry over the limited attention given to the PNG Cancer Facility.
Cancer is big, plastic through planting manto, ginokan marasin blem. Through inokan marasin blem into the Papua, but you got marasin blem overseas. Why? By me got planting money, me got planting natural resources, me got enough money to buy more Islam machine. Na current come to the country, time you mean on hablo you can buy.
How about a grassroots person that is potentially young men or young woman that is going to have this kind of detective now. In Bandai, nothing here. This country is just, I don't know, there is no hope in this country, especially in terms of medical, like especially cancer.
Last month, the Health Minister Michael Malabag said the government has a plan in place to provide treatment for cancer patients in the country. But it is a plan that will need 15 million kina annually to make it work. Earlier this month, the Health Secretary reaffirmed the department's plan, saying they are aware of the cancer problem.
Again, that's another area that are of concern to the nation. And that doesn't mean that the Health Department does know about it. We know about it, and we do have plans in place to address it. So at the moment, we have options for treatment on patients that are affected with cancers.
Matsaluvis, National MTV News, Lay.
Oro Governor Gary Jufa wants action to be taken against 3 Chinese nationals who were in his province illegally. The Oro Governor has written to the Labour Department to explain how these work permits were given in the first place. Governor Jufa says the trio were found in Popondetta with work permits that only allows them to work in Port Moresby. The 3 did not speak English, a requirement for work permits in Papua New Guinea.
It is my view that there is a syndicate operating that is processing these documents and these visas and permits for these people. And I've informed the Labour Department, who, instead of coming out and helping me, have gone and become defensive and said that that's not the case. Well, just last week I confiscated 3 passports, which I then handed to the police commander, of 3 expatriates who could not speak a word of English. Their visas indicate that the companies they work for are based in Moresby. What were they doing there? They said they were going to, they sort of communicated through a translator that they were going to Kokoda to work there. Well, their visas allow them to only work for Port Moresby. They have work permits, but they can't speak a word of English. How did they get their work permits? So I'm writing a letter of complaint to the police, as well as to Labour and Migration and the Ombudsman, to find out what is happening in these organizations, that we are just issuing visas and work permits without proper checks and balances. A lot of foreigners are taking up positions that Papua New Guineans could have, like drivers, security guards, you know, and in places where we have a high unemployment, where we have a large number of Papua New Guineans who are looking for jobs, school leavers, and now they have no jobs, you know. I'm very concerned about this. I think these departments...
National MTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Papua New Guinea Superannuation Fund, No. 1 Super, held its annual employer conference today in Port Moresby. Acting Chief Executive Officer Vere Arava said the NSL remains committed to serving the employers in providing the best possible returns considering market conditions. Mr. Arava assured employers that NSL has strong internal audit and risk management systems to protect members' contributions.
About 120 employer groups from around the country attended the conference at the Holiday Inn. For NSL, the annual conference was an opportunity to communicate important changes and issues. It also provided the chance for employers to give their views on how the fund should operate.
At NSL, we remain committed to serving you. And the reason that we exist is because of you. And I want to assure all of you, the employers, that NSL now has a stronger internal audit and risk management focus. And we take pride in announcing that over the last few years, probably the last 5 years, we've never had any fraud.
The conference went through the 2016 Member Services operational highlights that included technology advances and new innovations. The market positioning of the Super Fund was also discussed, including the fund's 5.8 billion kina asset base. Its 404 million kina profit and 9% interest for members has been much publicized.
What sets us separate from the competitors? We'd like to think that We had a bigger fund, and we had a leading fund. And we've got an asset base here of about 5.8 billion.
Going forward, Number One Super is looking at resolving some of its challenges with assistance from the employers. Some of the resolutions include getting employers to remit on time. Other issues include ensuring members fill in their biodata, their nominated beneficiaries listing, and know about the NSL app. Deli Waigeno, National MTV News.
About 350 individuals graduated yesterday from the Urban Youth Pre-Employment Training Program. The 20-day program targets the unemployed population in the hope of giving them a second shot at securing a job. Their graduation comes just days after a UN report revealed a recession in PNG's human development because people like them are excluded.
20 intensive days of training paid off for a lot of graduates who chose to break out of the marginalized minority, individuals who have been sidelined because the PNG labor market cannot absorb everyone. UN Development Program's report revealed the exclusion of women, people living in remote areas and vulnerable communities has hindered the progress of human development and led to significant inequality within the Asia-Pacific region. For the graduates who sat in this room, waiting for a slip of paper that could just be their ticket to a secure livelihood, it was reflection enough. Emma KAGA, a mother of 4, sat rocking her infant child with newfound hope, her 2-year-old daughter lingering impatiently by her side.
I believe that after this, I will still look for a job.
Ruth Adow, like Emma, had to juggle pre-employment training with a family, but felt the program had given her a new perspective.
And I'm now with IRC HR department doing my job training, and it's a very big help to me, and I have a brighter future.
Olivia here spent 2 years at home after completing her grade 12.
I felt stuck.
Dragged through the tedious process of tertiary institutions and left high and dry. She is part of 3,000 others who have graduated from the program and now has a job. Like Olivia, this batch of graduates will work for 5 months with companies affiliated with the program, but get paid an allowance under the Urban Youth Employment Program. When the 5 months lapse, the UYEP stops paying allowances. Whether or not they get a job depends on how well they perform. Deputy Project Manager Dr. Matthias Liu challenged them to be more than statistics.
Strive to also make a difference to yourself, to your families, to your households.
UN's report also cited the current rate of unemployment for youths in the Pacific Islands is estimated at 23%.
To be honest, the hopes of finding a job is quite slim as well.
According to UNDP resident representative for PNG, Roy Trivedi, although we've made great progress reducing poverty, improving access to basic services and even empowering women, we need to ensure that those gains and benefits of global progress reach everyone and no one is left behind. Melissa Gaviro, National MTV News.
A summit is underway in Lae to try and come up with ways to revive volunteering in Papua New Guinea. The summit was told the National Volunteering Service has only 30 volunteers across the country. The head of the UN in PNG says there are many unemployed people with formal education who could make a valuable contribution through volunteering.
This is Joy Asiman. He is one of just 30 volunteers in Papua New Guinea. This is his 4th year doing volunteering work.
What I get out of volunteering is, first thing I gain respect in the community.
Asiman is the Community Development Coordinator with the Catholic Church at Lace Back Road Settlement. With his help, the community has a church, a primary school, a health clinic and its own water tank.
Here in Back Road, it's health center and school. There are some youths building the. I mean, by the way, this church here was built by Miniamia and Pindu. This church, I mobilized those unemployed youths to build it.
Joe is one of the volunteers attending the National Volunteer Service Summit held with the theme Harnessing Public-Private Partnership and Volunteerism. The summit is the first of its kind held under the new chairman Bernard Maladina to stir and revive the office of NVS. United Nations Regional Coordinator Roy Trivedi says volunteering provides opportunities for men and women starting out their professional careers to gain experience. It also offers a chance to give back to the community.
At the moment has, just 30 volunteers. And it's a scheme that actually we all know should be having many more people. It should be expanded massively because these volunteers can contribute even more to the country's development. And there is a pool of people, young and old, that we can tap into for that.
The Minister for Community Development says they are expecting recommendations on how they can enhance the work of the volunteers in the country.
This forum, there will be recommendations that will come that can help us to see the policy that has been working, to see if we can amend the old legislation or old act to meet today's needs and requirements as for the work of the volunteer services. So, in fact, the forum today, they will be doing that.
Mathalubi's National MTV News, Lay.
Still on volunteers, 31-year-old Mene Ansik is an elementary school teacher in Maimai Elementary School in Erap outside of Leh City. Ansik was born without arms, but that has not stopped him from living life and following his passion as a teacher. Ansik learned to use his feet to write and has so far taught 41 students. He set up the elementary school in 2014.
Me no feel me disabled. As me feel myself. Ogda something me not make him. Lo this lab was me been stop go na long first stop lo me me stop me school go. So me been go drop lo grade 6 na me stop na two plata me been try grade 6. Suppose lo me go high school ta so lo side lo handicap lo me now me sa film art. Inap lo ba me can pass na go high school ta so problem em this la okay me stop igo na me film mo sem me mas kira me one pla school lo me at long community lo me because community lo me am stay in long remote area. This la ting kisimi o sem me been starting this la school lo me inside one kind man o sem me only stop o sem only not lo make him something o sem that's all only no enough lo make him but o sem this life was one of challenge so sem misa gat long mipla all kind of sem meet na all sampla all friends one kind of sem me au na even up lo make him something or sem na even up lo make him some change inside long immediate na tu sem.
Relatives of a deceased man are demanding answers from the police department following his death. Community leaders say the youth was bashed by police at the Gordon's Market after swearing at a police officer. The victim was admitted to the Port Moresby General Hospital but died yesterday.
Relatives of the deceased gathered this morning at the 3 Mile morgue to mourn the death of late Eric Maya, a self-employed youth at Gordon's Market. Eyewitness Junior William told MTV News police assaulted late Eric without properly questioning him.
All police come now, kicking last blogan. All kicking last blogan now. I'm thinking some mambla piginio. Tan some mambla savage like play lemo. This like I'm bolot. Tanim I'm talking to him. I'm talking to the name Tani ma'am. I'm talking to the policeman. Na policeman do talking to la. Usay them ball policeman all beat him labe.
The victim was arrested and held at the Gordon's police station. Upon his bail, relatives took the deceased to the hospital for medical treatment. This is the second death for the Hela community in Erima. Early this year, a youth was also bashed by police and died later at the Port Moresby General Hospital. Community leader Thomas Yago said the police Iraqi must do something to stop these brutal killings.
Ikat lolo apply long penalize him this lagan mangi or penalize him this lagan man meri. But because he got system lo kill him all man staff lo gorens. He go get lo 6 months saraka all work lo kill him yet. So me like him this la almost all atrocities must look good lo this la.
The victim is in his late 20s and is from Copiago in the Hela province.
I'm come lo kisim priority. Na 2-3 years, I think 3 or 4 years I'm been stable city. I'm need to survive. So I'm no got one place magi I'm no school work one so I'm need to survive I'm yet I'm work lo karim kako back lo Gordon's market. So he and Fokina for a back.
Gordon's police were reluctant to give a response. Jack Lapave, Junior National, MTV News.
Fiji has lifted the ban on PNG's oxen palm. Fiji's Minister for Industry and Trade, Faya Sidi Koya, today announced that the pathway for oxen palm corned beef, trukai rice and lei biscuit is open, even for commercial consignments. This announcement came following discussions with Biosecurity Authority of Fiji. He said BAF is ready to facilitate commercial imports of oxen palm corned beef, trukai rice and lei biscuit into Fiji. Mr. Koya looks forward to working with PNG's Minister for Trade, Commerce and Industry Richard Maru to deepen and strengthen trade ties between both the countries. And now looking at our finance news, the KINA closed unchanged at $0.3145 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your KINA was buying $0.3070, $0.3999 Australian dollars, 0.2826 euro and 33.84 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, cocoa and copra closed higher while gold and coffee closed the day lower. Palm oil, crude oil and copra closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 4.72 points lower, the ASX closed at 54.34 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 50.47 points higher. Stories making headlines overseas when we come back, including the latest on the terror attack in the United Kingdom. Stay with us for details. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, police have now arrested 8 people after the London terror attack. Investigators are also revealing new information about the man behind the deadly rampage.
Khalid Masood, 52 years old, with a 3-decade history of violence. Named by police as the terrorist believed to be responsible for the deadly carnage in London Wednesday. According to police, he had several aliases, was born in Kent, just south of London, most recently living in the West Midlands. Masood's most recent conviction was in 2003 for possession of a knife, one of many brushes with law enforcement, including for radicalism.
What I can confirm is that the man was British born and that some years ago he was once investigated by MI5 in relation to concerns about violent extremism. He was a peripheral figure.
ISIS's propaganda wing claiming him as a soldier of ISIS, acting in response for appeals for attacks, but offered no evidence of a direct link. Police say he was acting alone.
It is still our belief, which continues to be borne out by our investigation, that this attacker acted alone and was inspired by international terrorism.
Even so, in an armed raid in Birmingham in the West Midlands early Thursday morning, witnesses report police taking several people from this building.
I see police arrest one lady and I see two, 3 people, but I don't know how many people arrest. But I see one lady and 2, 3 people, and police with gun and outside waiting and that's it. I see those people, that's it. But I never ever see those people before.
A mile away at the Enterprise car rental agency, owners called police to say their vehicle was used in the attack. Birmingham, a once fabled industrial heartland 100 miles from London, appears to be emerging as a centre of gravity in the attack. Police say of the 8 people arrested Thursday, 6 of them, including those detained here, are all being held on suspicion of preparation of acts of terrorism. Police caution the investigation still has a long way to run.
U.S. President Donald Trump is defending some of the most controversial claims of his political career in an interview with Time magazine. He says he can't be doing so badly because, in his words, I'm president and you're not.
President Trump unveiling a string of untruths as he talked about how he handles the truth in an interview with Time magazine.
Now remember this, Trump said, when I said wiretapping, it was in quotes, because a wiretapping is, you know, today it is different than wiretapping. It is just a good description. But wiretapping was in quotes. What I'm talking about is surveillance.
If you look at the president's tweet, he said very clearly, quote, wiretapping, in quotes.
Well, not exactly. Wiretapping was in quotes in this tweet, but look at this one. It's not in quotes. And on surveillance, Trump pointed to these comments from Devin Nunes, the Republican chair of the House Intelligence Committee.
I recently confirmed that on numerous occasions, the intelligence community incidentally collected information about U.S. citizens involved in the Trump transition. None of this surveillance was related to Russia or the investigation of Russian activities or of the Trump team.
That communication seemingly picked up by agencies legally looking at foreign targets. Nunes's evidence remains secret. Even members of his own committee have yet to see it. And he shoots down Trump's original claim.
Just to be clear, there's still no evidence that President Trump himself was wiretapped.
That is correct. That is correct.
On Trump's false campaign claim that Senator Ted Cruz's father was somehow connected to President Kennedy's assassin, Trump told Time, that was in the newspaper. I didn't say that. The newspaper Trump refers to, the National Enquirer. That's right, the supermarket tabloid. And on Trump's untrue assertion that millions of people voted fraudulently, explaining why he lost the popular vote to Hillary Clinton by about 3 million ballots, he said, mostly they register wrong. In other words, for the votes, they register incorrectly and/or illegally, and they then vote. You have tremendous numbers of people. In fact, I'm forming a committee on it. It will be interesting to see if that committee includes the folks who oversee voting practices, secretaries of state, many of whom are Republicans.
As I say about voter fraud, it exists, it's rare.
Or maybe Republican senators?
I've not seen any voter irregularity in the millions. Always some on the edges, but I've not seen anything on the millions. I don't know what he was talking about on that one.
Maybe not.
Trump also talked about how he was right that he would win on election night, even though he has said he thought he would lose. And he stuck with his false claim that Muslims celebrated on 9/11 in New Jersey, even though that has never been corroborated. And at the end of the interview, he essentially dropped the mic. Hey, look, in the meantime, I guess I can't be doing so badly, he said, because I'm president and you're not. Fact check, true.
Chukai Sports is next. All the details and the pictures from yesterday's FIFA World Cup qualifier between PNG and Tahiti. Stay tuned.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. PNG couples went down to Tahiti 3-1 at the Sir John Guy Stadium late yesterday. The couples were forced to play with 10 men after PNG international David Brown was sent off for an elbow to the face of Tahiti's Taumihau Tiatia.
True ball, Stephen covers.
David Brown made a strong return to PNG colours with his speed and physical agility, causing problems for Tahiti minutes from kickoff.
This is the first time and he concedes a penalty.
PNG forwards started the match with confidence, mounting pressure on the Polynesian side with clinical breaks.
Decides to hold it just a little bit longer. And Sabuak, he can cut this back in.
Brown with a decent cross into the box in the 28th minute, but Mikel Rochi latched onto the ball and fell into the net, but the whistle had already gone.
And while the balls ended up in the net.
A game changer for PNG came when Brown was red carded for an elbow to the face of Taumihao Tiatia.
It does appear like it might be a yellow card. And it's a straight red card.
However, the hosts took the lead when Debinyaba looped the deft header over Mikel Rochi as the first half ticked to a close.
Against the run of play and with 10 men down, and the celebrations on his face tell the feeling and emotion for the home side.
But that celebration was short-lived. Tahiti would pull back the equalizer.
Goal! Sylvain Bralia finally gets on the score sheet.
Then amidst a flurry of stoppages, substitutions and yellow cards, Tahiti took the lead in the 85th minute.
Against Felix, come along! Sylvain Bralia from the near post.
PNG was running out of steam, but doing enough to keep the pressure on Tahiti's defense until the death blow from Te Anui Tehau was delivered.
Have to be careful, and it's goal number 3 for Tahiti.
Tahiti now moves 3 points clear at the top of Group B in the OFC Stage 3 of the 2018 FIFA World Cup Russia qualifiers.
Hopefully for us it'll be a different game when we come to Tahiti and we can play like we want to do. But Tahiti with 1 man more was able to put a pressure on us actually most of the time. In between you saw our combination game like we want to do it, but not with the amount of situations that I would have hoped that we could create. But due to the circumstances in the match, it was more or less impossible for us.
We are happy with our performance tonight and for ultimately winning the match, even though our performance in the first half wasn't as good. Our players were very nervous, especially after the red card.
Both teams fly to Tahiti today for the second leg of the OFC FIFA World Cup qualifier. Shane Soroya, National MTV Sports.
A flurry of cards, a man sent off and consistent grounding of players marred the quality of the FIFA World Cup qualifier between Papua New Guinea and Tahiti. The Papua New Guinea Football Association is at the moment looking at their appeal options regarding the send-off of midfielder David Brown. Brown's send-off after 25 minutes changed the game for Papua New Guinea.
What started off on a positive note for Papua New Guinea descended into self-destruction for the home side against a mediocre Tahiti. Both sides had appeared largely equal both in terms of possession and attack. However, the surprising send-off of midfielder David Brown after 25 minutes had the audience in an uproar.
And it's a straight red card.
An innocuous aerial contest between Brown and Taumihao Tiatia had the referee Salesh Chand pull out a straight red card, disadvantaged Papua New Guinea and
Yellow
angered
card.
many. Tahiti would use that extra man as well as poor sportsmanship to disrupt PNG. There were issues by the home side in the build-up. Raymond Gunamba's 2 yellow cards from the OFC Nations Cup ruling him out, and the passport issues regarding the 3 other potential first 11 players would eventually work against PNG. Fleming Seritslav's obvious first 11 for the match had been influenced by this decision, with 5 players under the age of 23 making the debuts. Tahiti, for their part, spent a lot more time on the ground than they did playing football. Physically bigger than their Melanesian opponents, the crowd at the Sedrangai Stadium was little impressed with the diving by the visitors. In the post-match, PNG coach Fleming Serislav was ruling the loss of 2 of his important players.
Our own game spoiled after 15 minutes due to the red card of David Brown, but I actually have to praise the players for keeping the mood high, keeping their heads high. I can't blame them anything. They actually fought the best they could.
PNG now travelled to Tahiti at a 2-goal disadvantage and a largely weakened side. Dinero Sraiko, National MTV Sports.
The 30th National Swimming Championships is set for Friday next week. A final squad from this event will be selected to take part in the 2018 Oceania Championships in Port Moresby. PNG Swimming Inc. will also be running a technical officials clinic, learning both the practical and theory aspects on how to run a successful FINA event. Selections made from the national championships will attend the Youth Commonwealth Games in the Bahamas, FINA World Championships in Hungary, Asian Indoor Swimming Championships in September, and Junior FINA World Championships in the US. In cricket, the Hebo PNG Barramundis once again showed what they are made of in yesterday's clash with the English County Yorkshire, beating them by 11 runs. The two-day practice match saw the PNG side posting a massive 7 for 266 on just day one. Batsman Tony Ura contributed 93 runs that sent PNG on their way.
The Barramundis bowled out a very strong Yorkshire side for 255 in less than 84 overs to win the first match on the UAE tour. It was not an easy win for the Barramundis. The Englishmen went prepared with the likes of Test cricketers Gary Ballance and Adam Leith. Their leading batsman Andrew Horde gave the Barras trouble when he ran a century. That was when PNG bowler Nosiana Pokana saw the need to do something and ended Horde's running streak just after the century. Yorkshire fell short of the 266 target with only 255 runs on the scoreboard. The Barramundis will encounter some more English cricket before they take on host United Arab Emirates for the Intercontinental Cup and the World Cricket League Championship. The Barras are currently placed fourth on the ICC I-Cup standing and second in the WCLC, while their opponents UAE are ranked 8th in both competitions. Dina Rose Raiko, National MTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. We preview NRL Friday night football between Canberra Raiders and Brisbane Broncos. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To NRL Friday night football will be a thriller between the Canberra Raiders and the Brisbane Broncos. Broncos have lost their last two matches against the Melbourne Storm and Queensland rivals the Cowboys. They face tough opponents again tonight at Suncorp Stadium.
And then Austin going away to...
The Raiders have lost 8 of their past 9 matches at the Suncorp Stadium, but will be full of confidence after a huge 46-6 win over the West Tigers last week. They secured their first 2 points last week and, like the Broncos, have 2 losses against the Cowboys and Sharks. Brisbane have lost 2 in a row, but with both games going down to the wire, they'll still have belief they can match it with the best. There are no changes to the Raiders lineup, with Joseph Tapine named on the extended bench. The Broncos have also named an unchanged squad and will be looking forward to a win after 2 heartbreaking losses. Their home record against the Raiders is fantastic and is confident they can secure a win. The Raiders, on the other hand, will be damaging on the right edge, with Joseph Leilua and Jordan Rapana leading the attack, while Josh Papali will lead the forward pack. Blake Austin will face tough opposition, as well as Anthony Milford from the Broncos. The match will kick off at 7 p.m. tonight.
7.
Elijah Levitt, National MTV Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details for the next 24 hours when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow: cloudy with evening showers in Port Moresby, Daru and Kerma, and cloudy with showers and thunderstorms in Alutau and Popondetta. In the Momase region, cloudy with evening showers in Lae, partly cloudy with evening showers in Medang and Wewak, and cloudy with afternoon showers in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine afternoon, then partly cloudy tonight in Lorengau, and mostly fine in Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, cloudy with evening showers, then early morning fog in all centres. Forecast for small ships for tonight and tomorrow. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island to Kerema, to Yule Island to Hood Point, to Samarai Island, seas of 0.5 to 2 meters. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, seas of 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Samarai Island to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, seas of 1.5 to 2 meters. And waters of Finschhafen through Vitia Strait, Siasi Islands to Long Island, with waters of Long Island to Medang, to Bogia, to Iwak, to Aitape to Vanimo, to northern PNG Indonesian border, with waters of Manus and its western group of islands, and with waters of New Ireland to New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea. Seas light to rather rough with northwest to westerly winds at 10 to 25 knots. In the Solomon Sea, seas light to moderate with northeast to northwest winds at 10 to 20 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas light with northwest to northeast winds at 10 to 15 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas light with east to northeast winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that's been the news, sports and weather for tonight. On behalf of the entire MTV News team, I'm Helen Seah. Pleasant viewing. Good night.